My name is Cami Thomas. I am the owner of FTCTV Official. I'm also a videographer, director, and a photographer here in St. Louis. I was born and raised in St. Louis. I'm from here. I grew up in North County. I now live on the south side of St. Louis. And as a small business owner during the COVID-19 pandemic, like a lot of other people here in the city, I definitely had to rethink my approach in how I would run a business, what the workload would look like, and sort of had to figure out the ways on the fly to pivot in the best ways. Being a small business owner has granted me a lot of independence in my life. I worked in the corporate world for a while after I graduated, and I always had the urge to turn towards entrepreneurship, but it was daunting. It was intimidating to think, being mid-20s, you always have these questions. Is it the right time? Is it the right place? Do I know enough of what I'm doing? How will this work? What if it doesn't work? Those questions will flood to your head. But at a certain point, if you're listening to yourself and know what's best for you and know what feels the best, it's impossible to ignore that call of being a small business owner. So from that, I left the corporate world, and what I do primarily now, everything in media and in artistic creation, has granted me a lot of independence and ownership over my own creativity because, and I tell people, when you're working for a company or working for someone else's vision or someone else's mission, they essentially own your creative capacity. So that creative energy that you have to make the ideas, the brainstorming, you're funneling it and you're using it, but you're directing it towards perhaps a mission that isn't actually your own. So when you're a small business owner and an entrepreneur and you take that on, you have much longer days, busier days, probably more stressful days, but at the same time, it feels really good for me at the end of the day knowing that my creative energy, my creative capacity, my ideas, everything go towards helping my own mission and helping what I want to do and feeding towards my own vision, which is primarily based on community work and actually make a difference in my own community. I would describe the city as incredibly gritty, very, very Midwestern. People are very nice, outwardly friendly. It's very, very normal just to talk to people, as you're passing them up on the street and as you're in a store. We're very conversational, very open. The city itself, we have a very, very powerful creative scene and a very, very powerful community of startups, of artists, of people who really want to make a difference and people who want to have a part in creating something bigger. And when you're around that type of energy, it's impossible to not be inspired. I can't have lazy days because when I go and meet with my friends or meet with other small business owners, everyone has this fire about them because they're doing it not just for themselves, they're doing it for the greater good of the city, the greater good of humanity. So it makes it so that I'm always incredibly inspired by the people around me. The people around me make me better, make me a better business owner, make me a better artist. And it's really, really special to feel truly inspired by the people around you. I think that's a rare thing. I've lived in other cities, been to different countries and things like that, and I truly think that that's something unique about St. Louis. So if I had to describe it to someone who's never been here, I would say just to come here and check it out for yourself. Because you're not far from meeting a friend or meeting someone who will probably, blow you away with their friendliness and with their ideas. So it's a great city to be, a great city to own a business, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. Since the pandemic, a lot of my focus lately, as far as even just the ways of engagement with the community, have shifted slightly, where as everything is based in the art itself, the pandemic itself has challenged me to think beyond what I'd been doing before, because what I'd been doing before, going out, talking to people, interviewing people, taking photos of people, was something that was impossible after the pandemic or during the pandemic because, social distancing, we had to stay apart. So during that time, I had to really think of how my artistry could evolve to meet the challenges that the pandemic was actually giving. So with that, and as things slowly started to open back up, my goal is to have a space, open up a space in which people can come, gather, rest, relax, sort of take off a little bit of the weight of everything that's going on in the world, to truly be with the self and to meditate together as a community. people from all over St. Louis come to this. We stay socially distant, and really take a moment to regather and to come back to our own equilibrium so that we can face the challenges that we have in front of us, because we have a lot of things that need to be solved. And I think within that, there's a lot of power in centering yourself and preparing yourself for that type of conversation, and preparing yourself to open up the creativity that is required of us to actually see a difference in the world. So with that event, I call it Mkutano, which is a Swahili word for the gathering. That event itself is a space for people to come together, for people to gather, and we can rest with each other. So, and then after that, the second portion is a brainstorming session in which everyone brainstorms and talks about their experiences here in St. Louis, their experiences with law enforcement in St. Louis, and what ways we can empower the community in a way that people feel safe and people feel capable without having to lean on the assistance of the police. So in essentially creating an environment and creating a city that we make the rules for how we want to engage with each other as community members, so that we know who to go to. We know who to go to, which organizations to go to, which neighbors to go to, and feel like we have a sense of community in which we don't have to actually lean upon the assistance of the police force. Something I just want to let people know is that it's very important to think of perspectives outside of your own, support businesses that you wouldn't normally support, to go the extra mile, to show support and love to the people here who are truly trying to make a difference, who are truly leaning into themselves and growing into their own power.